Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in for our fourth hour here. Don't forget to sign up for our podcast, subscribe, and download it. Coming up in 30 minutes, we'll check in on a peak blossom time here with our pal Mike Litterst from the Park Service. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka.
Happy Friday, everybody.
We've had quite the back and forth here between Governor Wes Moore in Maryland and, well, at least one of a few Republicans who are standing up and speaking truth to power. Here's how it started. Here's Delegate Mark Fisher warning about what's going to happen in Maryland if the Democrats have their way. Listen.
And so here is my warning to the private sector of Maryland, all of those who have small businesses and medium-sized businesses in the state of Maryland, as well as a warning to all of those who are even contemplating moving to Maryland. Don't move into Maryland. And if you have a small business and a medium-sized business, get out of Maryland now. The Democrat Party sees you as an ATM machine, and they will never stop until such time as they have the perfect socialist government that will then collapse upon itself because there is no revenue left, as they call it, but really taxes left to collect.
That's 100% true. They're trying to punish people who have succeeded. We've laid this out. We've told you the kind of taxes that they're raising here.
Absolutely.
Because of the deficit they have, while Virginia has a surplus right now. We have Governor Youngkin on to talk about what he's going to do with those extra dollars that they have. All right, so Wes Moore didn't like that. Wes Moore doesn't like the truth. He didn't fight any of the facts that Delegate Fisher put out there. He just thinks that Delegate Fisher should lie and smile and give happy talk because that's what Wes Moore does. Take a listen to this.
I think his comments were embarrassing and disappointing. You never root against your state. You never root against its people. I think, frankly, he owes an apology to the people of Calvert County. I think he owes an apology to the people of the state of Maryland because you are, and this is what people hate about politics, that you're willing to root against your hometown for political purposes, for clickbait.
Okay, let's bring in Delegate Fisher here. Like I said, go ahead, Delegate Fisher. It's amazing to me. He's like, you're not rooting against Maryland. You're trying to save Maryland.
That's exactly right. Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely trying to save Maryland. And here's the thing. I'm actually a small businessman. I have been my entire life. The governor ran a nonprofit, and he became rich running a nonprofit with BlackRock and so forth. And so it really is interesting, how both of our backgrounds apparently make him so much more knowledgeable about the business community and what he's doing to them. But it's not just the business community. It's the middle class as well. His policies on electricity are just bankrupting middle-class Marylanders, and forget about people who are poor. I'm sure they can't pay their electricity bills. So, and he spends all of his time running for president in Washington and being vacuous and looking good, and he does look good and so forth, but there's nothing there. I'm convinced. There's no there.
Yeah, he absolutely is trying to fill a vacuum on the Democratic side. But we both, Larry and I, are Marylanders, and we care about. I'm a small business owner too. I care about taxes. Are there any Democrats in Maryland right now who are willing to work with Republicans to actually stop some of these bad policies?
There are no Democrats left in Maryland in the House of Delegates or the state Senate who actually want to do that, who actually want to lower taxes, who actually want to make Maryland more business friendly. Remember, Governor Wes Moore said Thursday of last week he wants to make Maryland the most business friendly state in the country. And then in the same speech said, and so I'm announcing a 3% tax on data and IT and cloud computing. And look, Jessica Feldmark, a Montgomery County Democrat, a nice person, okay. Jessica Feldmark said on the floor of the House of Delegates on Wednesday of this week, capital gains is not money you work to earn.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Capital gains is not money you work to earn. So therefore, they want to have a surcharge on capital gains to the tune of 2%. But you didn't earn that. Someone else made that happen.
And of course, capital gains income is based on an investment, which
Exactly.
is oftentimes very risky. So I'm just curious, what are the Democrats going to do for people who are taking a risk with their investment? And if they're fortunate, they made a good investment and they get that capital gains. What about if the investment goes sour? Where's the help there?
They don't think that way. They're not wired that way. And look, here's the thing, and here's why my warning, I think, is so important, because if I'm really going to be a fiduciary of the citizens of Maryland and of my district, I have to tell them the truth. And the truth is when we come back next year, we're going to come back to a budget deficit, a structural deficit again, and then the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, because the Democrats have already spent money that we don't have. And who does that to their people? So, here's my, I'll break some news right now. Here is my comment to Wes Moore. Wes Moore, will you veto the $1.6 billion of taxes? Will you do that? And if you won't do that, you owe Marylanders an apology, believe me.
Yeah,
Heard it here first. I love it. So the budget deficit here, what is driving it right now? Is it just overspending in a lot of different programs? Does it have anything to do with the collapse of the bridge and fix? I mean, I guess the federal dollars are supposed to be kicking in there. What is driving this deficit? Because it's sad that we have in Virginia, right across the way, there's such a surplus there.
So the governor hired 5,000 plus new state employees over the past 2 years. In addition to that, you have the Curring Commission, the blueprint, which is busting the budget. We're not getting the results from public education. And I just want to say, all of us love teachers. We highly respect teachers. The problem is that we have to separate the teachers, the rank and file, from the teachers union. The teachers union owns the Democrat Party, as you guys know. I am a passionate person about that supports private education as well as school choice. We would save billions of dollars on school choice in Maryland, and we would have better outcomes. So we have a structural problem in Maryland, and it's just part of it's philosophical, and part of it is that the Democrat Party is a captive of the teachers union. And believe me, that is the truth. If you are a Democrat in Maryland and you are elected, and you do not do the bidding of the teachers union, they will defeat you in the primary. They will defeat you. They are that powerful.
$1.68 billion in tax hikes to make up for a deficit. He inherited this office, as Governor Wes Moore did, with a surplus handed to him by Republican Larry Hogan. By the way, both Hogan and Ehrlich, former Republican governors, are speaking out against this and explaining how awful this is. You mentioned 5,000 new employees. That includes a new digital director, because Wes Moore just thinks that he needs to be better on X and Facebook and Instagram to sell this
amazing
poop sandwich a little bit better. So I got to ask you.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
No, by the way, he's doing a junket next month in April, in just a couple of weeks. He's going to Japan and South Korea. You want to know why? He's trying to drum up businesses to come to Maryland. It's like, well, wait a minute, Wes Moore. I mean, what about the businesses that are already here that you're forcing out of Maryland? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Forgive me, Delegate Fisher. He may say that that's what he's doing, but what he's really trying to do is get B-roll for his presidential campaign so he can prove that he's got foreign relations experience and some sort of international footprint. That's what's happening here, and everyone can see right through it. Can you stay with us? Because I got it. This is so vital and so critical, and there really is no opposition party right now in Maryland. Sad to say. It's hard to get voices like yours out there, so we're going to continue with Delegate Mark Fisher here in Maryland, talk about the sorry state of affairs in this state that was flying high just a couple of years ago. It's 8:15, WMAL, traffic and weather every 10 minutes, first on the fives with James.
WMAL, making sense of the news.
Delegate Mark Fisher joins us here. Basically, you guys are so outnumbered in Annapolis right now. Republicans are, and Wes Moore has the bully pulpit, and there's really no media to speak of that is challenging him or making him answer any hard questions. He was asked one hard question. You just said there's a lot of cuts in the budget. Can you tell us one of them? And he could not answer that question, Mark Fisher. So is there anything right now that is going to stop this boulder that's rolling down the hill of fiscal collapse for our state?
The citizens of Maryland, if they can just call the governor's office, if they can call the delegates and the senators, and by call the delegates and senators, I mean the Democrat delegates and senators. You already have the Republicans on your side. So please call your delegate and senator that's closest to you that is a Democrat, please call the governor of Maryland and tell him to veto this package. This is an anti-growth package. He said it's a growth package. We all know it's an anti-growth package. And he just has no pushback. And I agree with you. And I, of course, very much appreciate what you good folks do at WMAL and so many other places. It really does help elevate our voices from the Freedom Caucus to let people know that there is an opposition and we are fighting on the House floor, but we are outnumbered.
Well, the opposition voice will be heard more acutely, I think, when there is a gubernatorial election. And since you are challenging Wes Moore right now on this legislation, have you considered challenging him for his office?
I have not. I do enjoy being in the House of Delegates and fighting the other legislators and arguing. I do have that reputation in Annapolis, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that they try to shut down debate when I stand up. And here's what they do. They say, well, we're trying to remove the previous question, which means they're trying to shut down debate so they can hurry up and vote.
Yeah, we played that audio yesterday. We played that yesterday on the show. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
they try to do that all the time. I'm proud of that, right? I'm proud that they are afraid because they want censorship. They don't want people to know. They don't want transparency. And they've had that for so long. They've had it for so long. But now this is the first time that I've served where we have a governor that I really think is in way over his head. He really thinks it's, as you've said already, it's about pictures, it's about image, and it's really not about substance. And I think people are catching on now. I really do.
You know, the Twitter handle is at MDGOP at Maryland for the Maryland Republican Party. I'm just looking at the number of tax increases, and I noticed that a lot of them deal with vehicles, vehicle registration fees increasing, short-term vehicle rental increases, cannabis, betting, historical license plates. I mean, vehicle title fees, doubling those things. I mean, are we seeing something that's really hitting not just, the wealthy in Maryland, and by the way, there are a lot of wealthy folks working for the government, but really hardworking, low-income, working class people?
It is. It's really hitting middle class. The biggest part of freedom, biggest part of being free is the ability to move about and have a vehicle to move about. And the Democrat Party is attacking that ability to be mobile with doubling the titling fee, emissions fees, more than doubling them. The increasing the excise tax on vehicles and trade-ins and so forth. It's a constant attack, and they have no explanation as to why they're doing it because it never makes any sense. But if you're in the middle class and you have a vehicle, it's going to be harder for you to move about. And when I always hear from people when they go to retitle a vehicle or when they go to purchase a vehicle or when they go to update their registration. I mean, here's a question. Why do we need to keep re-registering our vehicle?
Yes.
Why? You registered once. Why do I need to keep doing that, Wes Moore? Why is that necessary? And they can't answer the question. No. It's a direct attack on the middle class.
Like everything else, it's a money grab. That's the reality. And I think the most stunning thing about all of this, when you recognize that he inherited a surplus, and now he's got a deficit where he has to raise over $1.5 billion in taxes. Again, just south of here, across the Potomac, same fiscal situation. Glenn Youngkin comes in. He's getting net gain in population of people moving to Virginia to start businesses. He's got a surplus right now. What's the difference? You just said it. 5,000 new Maryland employees under Wes Moore's watch. And let's be clear. He's just hiring voters is what he's doing. He's using Maryland's treasury to build alliances and build allegiances in the state government sector so that he can win re-election, so then he can go to the White House. And, we're here to call him on it. And so are you. You're there in Annapolis. Beautiful town. Too bad the politicians. It's great when it's just Navy midshipmen and tourists and guys that like going out on their sailboats. But the first 3 months of every year, it's got, your colleagues there in the State House. Appreciate you joining us, Delegate Fisher. Keep up the good work, and we'll keep the conversation going here. All we can do right now is talk about it, but soon change is coming. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It is 8:22.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
And And now it's 8:37 this Friday morning in the nation's capital, the final Friday of March as we close out the week and close out the month. We're heading into a glorious weekend, and if you work for the National Park Service, you know, there are certain points on the calendar that are sort of your go time. And certainly the Cherry Blossom Festival is the goest of all go times. And that brings out our friend Mike Litterst, who covers, everything about the Park Service, but certainly is plugged in as spokesperson for the National Mall and Memorial Parks in particular. So, Mike, thanks for joining us.
Very good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And unlike last year, the weather is really cooperating just in time for peak bloom. Have we hit it today, or is it tomorrow?
If not today, it's definitely going to be tomorrow. We'll wait and see if we get some sun today and some warmer temperatures. We were close yesterday, but these overnight cold temperatures really sort of slow the process down.
They're very temperamental, these little blossoms.
They are outrageously temperamental, and especially this year. You know, we're going to go from mid-30s last night, and it's going to be the 80s tomorrow. So the trees are getting whiplash like the rest of us, I think.
Well, Mike, I know there's some big things going on down on the National Malls tomorrow. Can you talk us through the Kite Festival?
It is really one of the sort of the hallmark events, not only of the Cherry Blossom Festival, but spring in D.C., and that's the Blossom Kite Festival on the grounds of the Washington Monument. This is an event that's been going on for decades, and we're looking at just absolutely perfect weather for kite flying tomorrow. It's going to be nice and warm, nice 10-degree or 10-mile-an-hour winds or so. Perfect to come out and enjoy this rite of spring in the city.
Mike, when last we spoke, you were telling us about some of the modifications being made to the tidal basin there to sort of shore things up and make sure that you've got preservation going forward. And that involved removing some of the cherry trees, including Stumpy, of course. Can you give us an update on how that project is looking right now and how that affects the crowd flow and the experience during the Blossom Festival?
Sure. We are really excited at the progress we're making on the rebuilt seawall around the tidal basin. We've got more than 500 feet of new seawall already in place, well above the water line. That's going to keep the water out of the tree roots and away from the memorials for years. Should be finished by no later than this time next year. Visitors coming this year, they'll notice a little bit of impact. Obviously, there's some construction fencing and the work is going on, but we planned it all knowing that when peak bloom came, we couldn't have dead-end trails or have people turn around. So all the walkway and the entire way around the tidal basin is still open. Roads are open. We had to take down those 148 cherry trees as part of the work, but there's still more than 2,500 cherry trees around the tidal basin. So lots of blossoms, lots of blooms still to be seen this year.
Yeah, Patrice, last time I was down there, it looked like this work was done on the far side of the basin, not on the mall side. And it's, you see some fencing there, but, and there's also some pictures of presidents there, so that's okay.
So, Mike, beyond...
Basically...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, between the Jefferson Memorial and the FDR Memorial, so on the south side of the tidal basin.
So beyond the Kite Festival, sorry, I almost said Fight Festival because growing up in
Boston.
That
would be awesome.
Well, in Boston, we had a Kite Festival that always turned into a Fight Festival, but thank God that's not we're not in D.C.
We could get UFC down there. We could get Joe Rogan on it. Come on.
Beyond the Kite Festival, what else can people come down to for the Blossoms this year? What else can they expect?
And the first rule of Fight Festival is don't talk about Fight Festival. So
got me.
There are 4 weekends of events going on with the National Cherry Blossom Festival, and not just around the tidal basin, but all throughout the city. So, afternoon tea in the park at DuPont Circle, the Blossom brunch up in DuPont Circle as well. Of course, everything caps off with the National Cherry Blossom Festival Parade. That's Saturday, April 12th. Very excited to welcome Grand Marshal Ken Jennings this year. I presume, throw some questions and answers at us. But
well, make sure you make your answer in the form of a question.
In the form of a question.
You'll be in real
jeopardy
hundreds of events.
nationalcherryblossom.festival.org has them all listed.
All right. Mike Litterst from National Park Service. Always great to talk
Thank you,
to
Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Patrice.
You know, we spend a lot of time here. It's kind of baked into the cake for what we do, Patrice, to sort of point out the challenges of living here, the problems and things that are broken that need to be fixed. So when we can focus on something that really is unique to Washington, something that is known worldwide, that everybody's jealous of us right now.
They are, actually. Yeah.
During the Cherry Blossom Festival. They travel from all around the world to be here at this time. Yes, it's a headache. Yes, it's crowded. Yes, parking is awful. But come on, get down there and enjoy the best that Washington has to offer.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Well, Patrice, I'm at a loss right now. I'm feeling kind of sad and down over this latest story. Oh, man, what a tough month this has been for me. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Hooters, the restaurant Hooters.
They have good wings.
They have great wings. I mean,
From
awesome.
what I understand, I've never been, but I've heard they have good wings.
I guarantee you they have great wings.
Okay.
Hooters has announced that they are, for the sake of, I guess, rebranding their chain and trying to, I don't know, go in another direction for their image, they've decided to end their bikini nights.
How is that going to help them?
I'm at a loss. I guess they're going for a Michelin star here or something. There's like,
so they're trying to rebrand, apparently. This is according to the Daily Mail.
the name of the restaurant is Hooters.
I mean, isn't it referring to
how
an
do you
owl?
keep that name and rebrand? What do you?
Wilderness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's about
forget
wilderness.
the chicken wings. We want owl wings. That's what we want.
Isn't that what it is? I mean, okay, so here you go. You've got would-be customers saying in parts of the country saying they can't go to Hooters. Their wife would kill them. This is according to Neil Kiefer, the chief executive officer of the hospitality group that owns Hooters. And so
That's why you don't tell your wife and you pay in cash.
well, okay, listen.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I think it's a bad move. I absolutely do. We all get the branding for this restaurant. They need to distinguish themselves from a lot of other family-friendly restaurants or other places that you can eat out at. And a lot of the big name chains like theirs, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Boston Market, they're all gone. I mean, where I am in PG, a lot of these places have wrapped up.
Yeah.
So you got to keep people in the door somehow.
You know where they still exist? In southern red states where they don't have rising minimum wage. See, here, the secret of these restaurants is that the restaurant owner could pay the waitresses minimum wage, but they would make it up in tips.
Yes.
Not anymore. What are the states that are hardest hit? As you said, Maryland, they've shut down the Hooters. I know there was one on Rockville Pike. I mean, I'm familiar with the fact that there was one on Rockville Pike. California has been hit hardest. Why? California has $20 an hour minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly.
Financially, this is very difficult. Did you just say you've never been to a Hooters?
No, I haven't actually, but I've heard they have good wings. That said, there are so many chicken places these days. It's a chicken revolution. I don't need to go to Hooters to get good chicken wings.
You might enjoy Hoover's, though. They keep the carpets very clean over there. You know, Patrice, the first time, I'll never forget the first time I went to Hooters. I had no idea. I was dating a girl who was a performer on a cruise ship out of Miami.
Okay.
I was living in New York at the time. That's the singers and dancers in New York often get jobs on cruise ships. So I fly down on the weekend to meet her, and she said, "Oh, well, meet us at this restaurant right at the Miami port there." All the performers on the ship would go there when they got off the ship for, the day that they have in Miami. So I go there. It's called Hooters. And I go there and I see the girls and they're all wearing barely anything and the tight orange shorts and the crop tops and they're all over the place and they're bleach blonde and everything. And it was great. And it was, my table was men and women, some gay men as well. These are dancers, of course. And we had a great time. It was fantastic. Good food. It wasn't until like a year later in New York when one of my work friends said, "Hey, let's go to Hooters," because wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it never occurred to me Because I was in Miami. I mean, that's
yes.
that's every place in Miami.
That is
that's
attire for streetwear.
Exactly.
Wearing
it never
floss.
occurred to me that there was something, special about this place. And then that's when I realized, oh my God, I was at a place where businessmen go to gawk at women. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, even the iconic orange shorts, if the bikini nights are going, the orange shorts are probably not far behind. And by that point, you really shut your doors. I really think so.
All right. Well, we'll see. As Hooters rebrands, as long as they're named Hooters, I don't know what more you've got going for you.
Wilderness.
It's 8:52. All right, Patrice, that's a wrap. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. It's going to be beautiful.
You too. I will see the cherry blossoms. I hope you do too.
Speaking of beautiful, is that Chris Plant?
That's me with my cherry blossom wreath on my head.
It's gorgeous.
Because it's the cherry blossom series, and we have to go down and bring, I don't know, beer or something, and maybe some snacks. Go do the cherry blossom thing. They took away Stumpy, though, didn't they? They killed Stumpy.
Stumpy got mulched.
Didn't even make keychains out of him or anything. They just
they
wrecked
went
it.
full Fargo on Stumpy. Yeah, into the chipper.
Must have put liberals in charge, and they destroyed the whole thing. Oh, speaking of which, crazy, huh? Out of Las Vegas, Nevada, we've got the Tesla-burning communist who loves Hamas, and Tufts University.